Welcome back to the WokeWatch. Hollywood celebrities are once again stepping directly into the political spotlight, and this time, Tom Hanks is at the center of the controversy. As more actors become involved in political rallies and protests ahead of the 2026 midterms, the question isn't simply whether celebrities should express their political opinions. The bigger question is whether audiences are becoming completely exhausted by Hollywood constantly mixing entertainment with politics. And now, Tom Hanks has reportedly found himself facing major backlash over comments surrounding DEI and the future of Hollywood casting. If this controversy continues growing, it could become another example of why some moviegoers are increasingly separating themselves from the celebrities they once supported. So before we get into exactly what happened and why this is creating such a heated reaction, make sure you subscribe to the WokeWatch for more Hollywood and entertainment updates. Let's get into it. As of August 25th, 2026, Hollywood's involvement in politics has become increasingly difficult to ignore. From California to New York and beyond, numerous celebrities have been appearing at political events, speaking publicly about major political issues, and encouraging their audiences to become involved as the 2026 midterm elections approach. And while celebrities obviously have the same right as anyone else to express their opinions, there is a growing argument that Hollywood's political activism is beginning to hurt the very people participating in it. Names like Robert De Niro, George Clooney, Jane Fonda, Julia Roberts, Tom Hanks, and others have all become part of this larger conversation. But Tom Hanks is particularly interesting because, for decades, he has maintained an image that is very different from the openly confrontational political persona associated with some other Hollywood stars. However, the more frequently he enters these debates, the more criticism he appears to attract. And the latest controversy revolves around one of Hollywood's most divisive subjects, DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion. The argument surrounding DEI has become especially heated following major changes in American politics and the entertainment industry. Supporters argue that greater representation creates opportunities for people who historically received fewer opportunities, while critics believe studios can become so focused on diversity targets that they lose sight of storytelling, writing, casting quality, and what audiences actually want to watch. That disagreement has now become impossible for Hollywood to avoid. And according to the claims circulating around the Tom Hanks controversy, the actor faced significant pushback after discussing the role he believes diversity should play in the film industry. The argument attributed to him essentially centers around the idea that Hollywood should place greater emphasis on diversity in casting and representation, even when making decisions about which types of roles studios should prioritize. That immediately created another major debate. Critics aren't necessarily objecting to diversity itself. Their argument is that storytelling should come first. A great screenplay, strong characters, talented performances, and effective direction are ultimately what make audiences connect with a movie. And this is where the conversation becomes much more complicated. Because if a studio starts thinking primarily about demographic categories instead of asking whether a character actually works within the story, viewers can begin feeling like they're being marketed a political message rather than an entertaining movie. That's exactly why DEI has become such a controversial topic across Hollywood. And the criticism doesn't stop there. There is also a growing frustration among moviegoers who feel that some celebrities spend more time lecturing audiences about politics than talking about the movies they're actually promoting. For many fans, that creates a strange disconnect. They grew up watching these actors portray fictional characters. They connected with those characters, followed their stories, and built emotional memories around the films. But when those same celebrities repeatedly enter political arguments in real life, some viewers say it becomes harder to separate the actor from the character. And that's an important issue for Hollywood, because the entertainment industry has always depended heavily on audiences developing emotional connections with performers. If those audiences begin associating an actor primarily with political statements rather than their performances, that can potentially change how people view their older work as well. And this is where Tom Hanks enters the larger conversation. Hanks isn't necessarily at the same level of political controversy as Robert De Niro, at least not yet. But critics increasingly argue that he's moving in that direction because of how frequently his political opinions become part of the public discussion. And the bigger problem for Hollywood is that this isn't happening in isolation. John Leguizamo has also generated controversy over comments concerning movies with predominantly white casts. The hosts of The View have repeatedly become involved in political and cultural debates. George Clooney and Julia Roberts have also been pulled into conversations surrounding Hollywood's political role. And as more celebrities participate, the audience reaction becomes increasingly divided. Some people applaud these stars for speaking out. Others are asking a very different question. Why should movie stars be telling ordinary people what political position they should have? That's where the backlash becomes especially important. Hollywood has spent years trying to convince audiences that entertainment should represent everyone. But representation doesn't automatically guarantee a successful movie. Audiences still want compelling stories. They want characters they care about. They want talented performances. They want good direction. And most importantly, they want to feel entertained rather than lectured. That's why some critics believe Hollywood needs to be extremely careful about making political messaging the centerpiece of entertainment. Because when audiences feel like they're being talked down to, they can simply stop watching. And we've already seen examples across the entertainment industry where controversial political messaging becomes a major part of the conversation surrounding a project and sometimes completely overshadows the actual movie or television show. That creates another problem for actors like Tom Hanks. The more political controversy surrounds their public image, the harder it can become for audiences to simply watch their older movies without thinking about the modern-day celebrity behind the character. Think about some of Hanks's most recognizable roles. For years, audiences could watch those performances and see the characters. But once an actor becomes heavily associated with political commentary, some viewers begin bringing that real-world image into the movie with them. The character is still on screen, but the audience may start thinking about the celebrity instead. And that's a dangerous place for Hollywood stars to find themselves, because the illusion is one of the most important parts of acting. When an actor disappears into a character, the audience forgets they're watching a performance. But if the actor's real-world persona becomes louder than the character they're playing, that illusion can become much harder to maintain. And this is exactly why the growing political involvement of Hollywood celebrities deserves attention as we move closer to the 2026 midterms. We're likely going to see even more political rallies, public statements, protests, and celebrity appearances over the coming months. The political environment is already becoming increasingly heated, and Hollywood figures are clearly becoming part of that conversation. The question is whether audiences will embrace it, or whether they'll simply become even more disconnected from the celebrities trying to influence them. Because at the end of the day, audiences don't owe celebrities their political loyalty. They don't have to agree with an actor simply because they enjoyed one of their movies, and they certainly don't have to accept the idea that entertainment should come with a political lecture attached. That's ultimately what makes this entire debate so interesting. Tom Hanks has spent decades building one of the most recognizable careers in Hollywood. But the question now is whether his political involvement will eventually become just as important to his public image as his acting career. And if more celebrities continue going down the same path, Hollywood could find itself facing an even bigger disconnect with the audience it depends on. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Hollywood celebrities should stay out of political debates when promoting their work? Or do you believe they have every right to use their platforms to speak about politics? And what do you think about the growing DEI debate in Hollywood? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the WokeWatch for more Hollywood and entertainment coverage. I'll see you in the next one.